Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's me, Paddy from across the shuck, and you're very, very welcome to the channel. And now this is my final thoughts on the new Jack Wolf knife, Feel Good, and it's probably going to be a little different because I think I have to explain myself. I wasn't over keen when I seen it. I know most of the reviewers liked it, and I like the fact that they liked it, but it just didn't hit me because I wasn't looking for a doctor's knife. Now, is that just a mental thing? A doctor's knife? I don't need a doctor's knife. That's not the sort of knife I need for my modern day living. And with that thought in my head, I couldn't warm to it. So, like anybody who's got half a wit, and sometimes I have half a wit, you carry it, you use it, and then you wait to see if something else comes into your head. And the big important bit that I missed, and it's Ben's theory on all his knives, they're modern interpretations of a traditional knife. This is not a traditional knife. We're calling it the feel-good knife, but it's not a doctor's knife as such. That's not what I was looking for. Now, I may be completely wrong, but this is how I'm thinking now. Yes, it has the attributes, long and skinny. It's got a flat bottom for crushing pills. If you got a child, you might want to use that to crush a pill. To be quite honest, for me, 2 teaspoons, much easier to crush a pill. So I've literally had to take the doctor's knife out of my head. So in my own head, I've been calling, I must go get the feel good. And that's much better. That sounds so much better to me because it makes me feel good. It is a lovely, lovely knife. But to me, not a doctor's knife. It's a modern interpretation. And it's them two words, modern interpretation, that I had to get over. It's the first time it's happened in all the knives. This is 12, and it's the first time that's happened. So I did have to think, and long and skinny, I was thinking, well, who wants to hold a long, skinny knife, So again, my favourite knife, which is the GEC 15 pattern. Once I got this out, it just changed everything. It's got a sheep's foot. This is the ram's foot. And that's what I'm going to call it because I like it to differentiate between the two blades. We'll look at them closer. That's my favourite pattern of knife to carry. It's not my favourite knife, but it's the favourite pattern that goes in your pocket. This is it. It's little boy's knife. It's just around the 3.5 inches, and I love that in any kind of pocket knife. 3.5 inches is absolutely lovely. My absolute favourite is anywhere between 3.5 inches and 4 inches. That's fine. Much bigger than that, it's not something I'm going to carry regular. And that's just me. We're all different. We're all different. So this is a boy's knife, and this is in the sheep's foot. And I want to just put these two together. You can see the difference. This is actually skinnier than this down here, and this runs parallel, and this runs away from each other. The tram lines have disappeared and spread their legs and spread their legs. So there you go. That's that. So I think this is a ram's foot, sheep's foot. But here's the thing, right? You seen them two sitting down. Let me just put them down together. Let me just get these together. Right. There is next to no difference in the thickness. This is a bit thicker up at the end than the boy's knife. It's a bit, well, it's probably about the same, but just squared off at the bottom. Now, does that make a difference? It absolutely does. This in my hand is, I can just get the 4 fingers on my hand, and that's all. Once it gets that 3.5 inches, I can get my 4 fingers onto it. And when I use the ricasso up here, the difference between this one is I don't have to go up to the ricasso. I can hold the whole handle, and I can get my 4 fingers on there. This one is 3 3/4. I thought it was, because it's long and skinny, it looked, just wanted to do that. Because it was long and skinny, it looked longer than what it actually is the truth. The whole shape of this, even the way the carbon fiber twirls, it looks longer. It's not. It's only 3 3/4, which if you've got a bigger hand, mine's about a large hand, and I can get, without using the ricasso, which is up here, that'll give me something out the back, but I can use this perfectly just holding the handle. I don't need the ricasso to get all four hands on. And that is the difference. It's squared off, yes. That's the interpretation of a doctor's knife. It's flat, yes. This is just a modern interpretation of a doctor's knife. And it's a very loose modern interpretation of a doctor's knife. Because for me, the only thing is that squared bottom. The rest of it is just a slender gentleman's knife. And that's when I took that, look, I know I'm probably going the long way around to get that, but that's exactly what it is. It's a long, slender gentleman's knife with a ram's foot, which is stunning. It's an amazing working blade. Honestly, just genuinely beautiful. Sharp as a razor, deep hollow grind. Although it's a slim blade, the deep hollow grind brings this down to a superb edge. As a slicer, it's just a machine. Going through boxes, going through anything that I've put it through. And I've been doing quite a bit of detailed work with it just to see what it's like. This point, and again, to me, this is a sheep's foot, or a ram's foot, as I prefer to call it. But it has that shape of a sax knife, which gives you an elongated point, okay? And to get that down, you don't even have to lift your hand. You can rest your finger on the table and you can go down there, absolutely beautiful, and cut through any newspaper. It's just, let me just show you, I suppose is the best way of doing it. You can put this down here, you can have your angle and just go down there. And look at that. It is absolutely perfect. It left my little bit at the top. It is so easy to use for that sort of work. Do I do a lot of that sort of work? Well, no, but I don't work in an office. And I would say in an office you would do. And if you wanted to cut a paragraph out of somewhere and put it somewhere else, or maybe I'm just a computer hater, I would do it and then cut it up and move my paragraphs about if needed to be, if I was doing a report. But honestly, as a gentleman's knife, just take everything else away. Just call this a gentleman's knife. How elegant is that compared to just a number 15 pattern, which again is one of my favorite little users. But how elegant is that compared to it? And with the carbon fiber, we've got so many different colors of carbon fibers, yellow, green, orange, it's all there. And you can pick whichever one you want, as long as you're in early. But you can pick whichever one you want. I think this one is absolutely beautiful. Now, that is a bit of a change from when I first started. And do I feel a bit uncomfortable doing it? Absolutely not. How many knives have you seen, or have I seen in my time, that I seen them and think, nah, it's not really for me. And then I pick it up and I think, oh, well, that's a bit different than I thought. And then after a couple of days, you've come round to it and you've found out the value of this. This, as a slim pocket knife, is fantastic. The other thing that I have found, right, I had this is a lovely sheath that I've got here, and this is just for a normal size, 3¾ inch knife, fits in here absolutely perfect. But because this is so slim, I can stick my little pen in there and put that in there, and it's absolutely perfect carry. So if no matter where you're going to work, you're going to a fancy do, there's your pen and your knife in your front pocket. Look at that. There's next to nothing. You wouldn't see that in your front pocket. Put it in. Fantastic carry. Now, I know you can get other things that do the pen and the knife, but why? Because this actually makes this more secure in here, because it has the pen filling out that. And I love carrying a pen. I have to have a pen with me because my memory's so bad. If somebody wants to give me a telephone number, I have to do it by pen, because I don't know how to put it in my phone. Well, I do, but I get it wrong most of the times, and then Sally shouts at me. So I write it down, everything I write down. I always carry a notebook with me. I have them everywhere around the house. That's a brand new one, by the way, but I have them everywhere. I have notebooks where I take little notes down. People say I should use them when I'm making videos, but I don't. So this is it. Now, let's go back to a traditional pocket knife, which would have come, there we go. It's got the flat bottom, and this one's a single blade. This one happens to be a Remington, and this is the blade shape that a lot of them came in, was just a spear, a thin spear. When you put this up against this, look at the difference. This looks like a more full. I mean, the handle is much thicker than what that is. It's about the same size, so it's got that size of the treasure, but look at the difference in blade. I mean, this is one that I would use for tablets. This is not a knife blade that I would want to use for sorting tablets. That is. It's nice. You can put the back down and just sort it out. And then you're not mucking up your edge. So I wouldn't use this for tablets. And here's another one. And I showed these before, but this is the sort of real traditional doctor's pocket knife that I would call a physician's knife. So you have the long skinny handle. This is much fatter, much better blade, well, much deeper blade, much more accustomed to the 20th century, the 21st century, that this can do so much more work than this little blade can. But you have a spatula or a tongue depressor or whatever you wanted to use, a twizzle stick, that can be used for. I genuinely like that. And I think if he ever does two-bladed versions, I would like a twizzle stick, but I would maybe have a different shape and use it as I've said this, I think, before in one of my videos. If you had this sort of blade shape and you had a secondary blade made like a twizzle stick, maybe I don't know, like a twirl, not twirl is not the right word, but you know what I mean, a coil stick, a little thin coiled one with a flat bottom, a little round bottom. It'd be great for a lady doing her cocktails, in the bar at night. Just undo that and stir your cocktail. Fantastic. Fantastic. Or a coffee, these frothy coffees, not that I'm into them, but you could give it a quick stir to get it all to mix in lovely. That would be a novelty, and that would be a novelty knife. But as far as this goes, that's what I think of when I think of doctor's knife, having a twizzle stick. This is what a lot of them are come like, just with a single blade and a long skinny blade. This is by no means a long skinny blade. If you put that beside the boy's knife, it's equal to and bigger than what a boy's knife's going to be. It's thicker at the top. So this, I'm afraid to say, it's just another flipping banger. And honestly, I had to get this doctor's knife out of my head. I adore this now. It's got a nice flat back on it. It's got a bit of room on it. It just feels so secure. I don't have to get up here to get my four fingers on. I am really comfortable back here. And because this is such a strong back spring, the chances of that breaking is next to nothing. It just doesn't happen. I don't know it. Maybe if you do something silly, it will, but I thoroughly enjoy this knife, using it as just a long, slim pocket knife. That if you got a suit on or whatever and you want to put that in, if you want to lay that in the bottom of just your jacket pocket in your suit, perfect. Absolutely, because it's long, it's thin. You'll never notice that lying at the bottom of your pocket. You could get a little sheath that was thinner for that, but to be honest with you, I would throw it in this and have this in the bottom of my jacket pocket, my inside pocket, and the top of the jacket, anywhere at all. Even put it in your breast pocket, front breast pocket. Perfect, because it's nice and thin. This knife isn't fat. Do you know what I mean? It's next to nothing. So this is due out on Friday, and in Europe, in the UK, Frame Our Knives, as we always say, are our friends. I'll put them down below. At 7:30 on Friday night, these go on sale. All carbon fibre, so you've lots of choices. Being as there's no McCarty anymore, and I know some people are a bit sad the McCarty's gone, but they just weren't selling. And now, if things change in the future, yeah, maybe they will have different blade coverings that'll suit you better in the future. Yeah, I hope it doesn't put you off, and I hope you try the carbon fibre or the fat carbon fibre, whatever we've got. I honestly believe you'll not be disappointed. You really won't. Now, this one's not particularly colourful, although it's black, grey, white. I like that. But there's lots of really outlandish colours coming. And I love waiting for the new colour, which is great. So, there you go. Do I give this the Paddy approval? Absolutely. It's another banger. I mean, S90V, just the workmanship that goes into that blade alone, forget everything else. The workmanship that goes into that blade is worth it. The handle materials, you either like it or you don't like it, but we have proven, or said we, Ben has proven that the different coloured carbon fibre are the ones people want at the moment. But that can always change. And the one thing I know that Ben can do is change. And that's the most positive thing about Jack Wolf knives. Ben's not frightened to change. Change the blade steel and put a banger of a blade steel in. I mean, it's just a banger of a blade steel. And you know, it's not that hard to sharpen. There you go. There's another thing. And what I might do, you know, maybe next week, I'm going to let Justin have a go at this. I didn't get Ben on this week. I've got so much going on. I'm actually going down to the caravan tomorrow morning. We were babysitting yesterday, last night, and which I just haven't got round to it. But I'll get Ben on next month for the next knife, and we can chat about this as well when we get him on next month. Maybe get him on, you know, a little bit earlier in the month so that if things go wrong, we're not going to get caught out. But anyhow, as it is, this is going to sale Friday, 7:30 p.m. in the UK. Frame our knives, get over there on time and order online. That's the way to do it. Frank over there, great fella. He'll sort us all out. He'll get all the knives out on time as he tries his very best to do every time. And you're safe. You're safe with Al Frank over at Frame Our Knives. So there you go, folks. The modern interpretation of a doctor's knife, and it's called the Feel Good. And I feel good now that I've actually used it. And that in this knife, I had to do it. I had to use it, and then I had to put it up against so many different knives to find out that this isn't a skinny knife. It's just a longer knife that looks skinnier, but in fact, it's the same thickness on the handle as my GEC 15, which is one of the most sought after knives that I know of. The 15 pattern is just a fantastic pattern. So that is splendid. Take care. Paddy's away for a wee cup of tea. Thanks very much. Sorry this month was a bit off and on this knife. But, you know, it's not always love at first sight. It has been for flipping 11 of them. So it's the first one that took me a while. But now that I've justified what it is, it's only a quarter of an inch longer. It's the same thickness. So if that's my favourite, how could I say that's not a good knife? Because it's just a quarter of an inch longer, which makes it even easier to grip. And it gives me a longer blade and a much more proficient blade. So there you go now. Right, I'm away before I start waffling. Take care, everybody.